Hello and welcome to Wheelsboy's coverage of the 2024 Chengdu International Auto Show. In this video, we are going to be showing you some of the most interesting debuts, the most interesting new cars here at the show, not just from Chinese brands, but also from international brands as well. Let's get started.
Welcome to Wheelsboy, where we cover the newest, coolest, and wildest vehicles from the Chinese car market. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell.
Welcome to the Zeekr stand at the Chengdu Auto Show, where they are debuting their all-new mid-size electric SUV, the Zeekr 7X. There's a lot we don't know about this car, so let's start by talking about what we do know, which is the exterior styling. This thing uses the hidden energy design language from Zeekr, the same one that we saw on the Zeekr 007 sedan. That includes the same Stargate interactive LED front end. The 7X will be available with two different battery packs, either a 75 kilowatt-hour pack with LFP chemistry and a claimed range of 605 kilometers, or a larger NCM pack that will be 100 kilowatt-hours and promise a range of up to 700 kilometers. All cars will also run on the 800-volt charging architecture from Geely, which has 5.5Z charging speeds. That means 10 to 80% in just 10.5 minutes. There will be two different powertrain options, either a single motor making 310 kilowatts, mounted on the rear axle of course, or a dual motor making 475 kilowatts. That means a 0 to 100 kilometer per hour time as little as 3.8 seconds. We do not know the exact price of this car, but based on Zeekr's previous pricing structures, we could guess it's probably between about 35 and 45,000 US dollars. Eagle-eyed viewers may have already spotted this green light on the side of the 7X. Much like with Li Auto's models, when this car hits the road and the driver is using its driver assistance system, whether it's auto parking or auto driving, this light will light up, letting drivers around them know, hey, I'm not driving, the car is driving, so watch out. Here on the interior of the 7X, it's going to be very familiar if you've ever been inside of a 007 or actually a Zeekr 001. Particularly the updated version. You've got a 15-inch center screen, a 13-inch instrument cluster, and a 35.5-inch heads-up display. You've also got this very beautiful mood lighting here on the dashboard, which extends across the dash and over here onto the door panel. One of the better executions of mood lighting of these surrounding lights that I've seen in the car industry. In terms of material quality, lots of real leather, lots of Alcantara or micro suede, and woo, look at this, some physical buttons. Sitting here in the back seat, you've got plenty of leg room, as you can see. Headroom, well, if you sit towards the middle, directly underneath the glass, you've got a ton of headroom, but this area here does impinge on headroom a little bit. The seats themselves, very long seat bottoms, very comfortable seating position. Decent low back support. Obviously, we're gonna have to wait till the test drive event where I can take a longer time in here to decide for sure, but my first impression is very comfortable. And again, I really love the interior mood lighting. One detail I also noticed is if we fold down this center console, you got your cup holders, and then this storage area, which is, first of all, really very comfortable to put your arm on this nice leather material, and, honestly, one of the more elegant solutions that I've seen to this kind of storage cubby. Chinese premium electric automaker Avatr is making a big splash at the Chengdu Auto Show by not only releasing a new model, but also a new powertrain. This is the new 07 compactor, more mid-size SUV. And it might surprise you to learn that the man given credit for the exterior styling of this car is the same one who's supposed to have designed the exterior of the latest BMW 7 Series. I don't know if you've seen that car, but I have, and I wish I hadn't. Thankfully, the Avatr 07 is, in my opinion at least, a much better looking design, particularly in this absolutely stunning green. We have heard directly from Avatr that this is their first model that's designed specifically for the global market. That means the 07 is going to be making its way to markets like Europe sometime quite soon. Avatar's always had a pretty fantastic design language, and this is no different. I've always thought they looked like some sort of, evil boss from a video game. These slit kind of lights. And not only do they have them in the front, they also have them in the rear. This, as you can see, is a very sloping rear roof line for this midsize SUV. The overall design language, again, almost sinister looking. And again, I have to say, this green in person is absolutely phenomenal. The range we know for the pure electric version right now is 650 kilometers, though I'm sure there's going to be other more specific ranges for different powertrain options, either the single motor or the dual motor. When it comes to the EREV, we know that there is going to be a single motor and dual motor, and they will have various ranges going from 188 all the way to 230. Keep in mind, those ranges are on China's CLTC cycle. All batteries for this car will be provided by CATL, and they will be LFP chemistry. CATL is also part owner of the Avatr brand, along with Chang'an Motor. Didn't expect this opportunity, but we have been able to get inside of the Avatr 07 and check out the interior styling. It's remarkably similar to that of the Avatr 11 that we've already reviewed. That means a very high-tech look, which includes a long upper screen here, as well as a large lower screen where you do most of your interacting with the car. You've also got the same kind of high-tech, very subtle designs on the door panel here. This is actually the button here on the door for opening the electronically operated door, like so. Same sort of square steering wheel, not a big fan of that, but just like other Avatr models that we've driven, this is a very luxurious interior, and definitely looking forward to driving it later this year. All right, we're now in the back seat where we're going to experience these, wow, this is actually a pretty awesome kind of airline style wraparound headrest that you're seeing here. I'm not exactly sure because we haven't received the information as to what the functions will be for the rear seat, whether they'll be heated or cooled. I highly suspect that they will be on certain models. Legroom, as you can see, very capacious. Headroom, also pretty good considering that very sloping roofline. Overall, I am genuinely impressed by the amount of detail and the quality of the interior of this car. Those of you who watched our coverage of the Beijing Auto Show earlier this year will remember there was a specific Volkswagen hidden inside a box that we wanted to see, but we couldn't. Well, now we can. This is the all-new ID.UNYX, the latest full electric model from Volkswagen that is currently China market only. ID.UNYX is using a new evolution of the ID electric car design language. This is actually not from the traditional joint venture brand, the SAIC Volkswagen. That's who's been making Volkswagens here in China for over 40 years now. This is actually from a new joint venture called Anhui Volkswagen, and again, they have their own design language for the ID series. It is much more aggressive and, to my eye, much more attractive than the last series of ID models. It also looks a lot like a Seat, and considering the success of recent Seat designs, I would consider that a compliment. All versions of this car will have the same 82.4 kilowatt-hour ternary lithium battery pack, but range will depend on whether you have the single motor or dual motor model. The max range, that would be the single motor version, is up to 621 kilometers on China's CLTC cycle, whereas the dual motor does it about 565 kilometers. Power levels. The single motor, which is rear-mounted, makes 250 kilowatts, whereas the dual motor will make 310 kilowatts. This car is priced between $30,000 and $35,000 US here in the Chinese market, which puts it up against a ton of different Chinese competitors. I do not think that its specs, frankly, stack up very well. I understand that 310 kilowatts is plenty of power for most people, but there are a lot of Chinese cars in this category who make about that much power from their single motor version, let alone their dual motors, which often make over 400 or even over 500 kilowatts. The interior of the ID.UNYX is largely the same as that of the ID.6, which is a larger China market-only ID model that we've actually reviewed on the channel. If you're interested, go check out that review. There are some upgrades. For example, the center screen is now 15 inches instead of 12 inches and has a much, in my opinion, better UI, a much more tailored for the Chinese market UI than the one in the ID.6. It also keeps a version of what I think is one of the best transmission levers in the industry because it's frankly just super convenient to use. The ID.UNYX is priced between $30,000 and $35,000 US here in the Chinese car market, which puts it up against a ton of really competitive vehicles. If I'm being honest, I don't know if its stats are quite up to the challenge, but I think Volkswagen is really hoping this will be finally an ID car that succeeds in the Chinese market. Now for something a little bit different. This is the refreshed version of the MG5, which was previously only available here in the Chinese car market, but is now available in other markets, including Southeast Asia. This is a pretty comprehensive refresh, starting with the exterior, which now has a design language much more similar to that of the MG7, the larger sedan that is also currently only available here in the Chinese market. Trust me when I say we've been trying to get our hands on an MG7 for a test drive for a very long time. Hopefully we'll be successful before the end of 2024. As with the previous MG5, there will be two different powertrain options. There'll be a naturally aspirated 1.5-liter four-cylinder mated to a CVT transmission, called the fuel-efficient version, and then there will be a turbocharged 1.5-liter version with a 7-speed DCT. The refresh extends to the interior, where the 10-inch center screen has been updated to a 12.3-inch, and the overall styling has been somewhat simplified versus the older version. There are fewer different patterns and textures on the interior, and overall it feels more minimalist and perhaps even a little bit more high-end. That's going to do it for our coverage of the MG5 and our coverage of the Chengdu Auto Show. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check us out on our social media, links in the description below, and like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you enjoyed this content. We cover a lot of Chinese auto shows and of course do a ton of different test drives of Chinese market cars.